And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar right here on BearcatJournal.com. Go see our good friends at Hail Mary's. They're located in Cheviot on Harrison Avenue. They're in the Dora District, so you can go from bar to bar with your drink, or, you can just hang out at Hail Mary's. They've got 27 TVs, a 9-screen video wall. Not a bad seat in the house. They subscribe to every sports package that DirecTV offers. You can catch all the games, and Cincinnati sports will always be on the video wall. Brand new walk-in cooler, brand new draft lines, and not only do they pour the coldest Cincy light around, but they do so in 32.8-degree beer frosted glasses. All right, Aaron, let's get this show on the road. Big 12 Media Days is tomorrow. So the Big 12 did not do a media poll. They did release their all-conference teams, which the media voted on. The media is allowed to vote on all-conference teams, not allowed to vote on where we think the teams will finish anymore, because I guess we were bad at it. So they got rid of it. Or it's just a conference with a crap ton of parity, and there's really no telling how things are going to play out. But first team all-conference going into the season, Dante Corleone at defensive tackle, Joe Royer at tight end. So one on each side of the ball. I think that's pretty good. Like the 22 spots, if you get two guys on in a 16-team conference, it's not bad.
Yeah.
They only released the first team.
They're also the usual suspects at this point, right? I mean, no one's surprised that either of them are there. Both of those guys have been talked about at one point in their careers or another about being potential first-round picks. So yeah, I'm not shocked by that.
No. So there's not a media poll, Aaron. So instead, all of the publishers at 24/7 Sports sent in a poll. And we published our own media poll, even though the conference didn't want one. Here is my media poll, Aaron. At Kansas State winning, Iowa State second, Arizona State third, Texas Tech fourth, Utah fifth, Baylor sixth, TCU 7, BYU 8, Kansas 9, Cincinnati 10, Oklahoma State 11, Colorado 12, West Virginia 13, Houston 14, Arizona 15, UCF 16. Of those, the only one I really thought I probably should have put higher was Houston. I think they're going to be better than 14th. But I didn't know where to put them.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty and the difficulty of putting a poll together is you usually have 1, 2, 3 of them where you're not really sure where to put them. We talked about this on the BBP. What do you do with BYU? You just lost your quarterback, which makes things a little difficult.
Yeah. We were asked to write a short blurb about our teams, somewhere between 100 and 200 words. I wrote 103 words, Aaron. Some of these guys wrote 400 to 500 words. They did not listen to the assignment. We weren't supposed to write a preview for our team. We were just supposed to write a quick little blurb for our team, which is what I did. Some of them did not. Some of them did.
Arizona State included 100 players in their blurb. 100
players. What about everybody on the team?
100
Everybody.
players.
They went through the 2 deep in their article. What are we doing? Write a quick blurb. Like that was the assignment. I stick to the assignment, Aaron. Write a quick blurb. I wrote a quick blurb.
Baylor might have had a shorter one than you. They were very close.
I'm not gonna. I mentioned that the 4 core guys to the team that they need to finish games better, and that they've got a big one that could set the tone for the season against Nebraska in week 1. What else do you want from
me? There were a lot of people got it. There were some who did not.
They're still complaining about it on the message board now, Aaron. Here's the Big 12 media poll. Arizona State at number 1. I don't like this, Aaron. With what we know about this conference, what makes you think a team is going to go back-to-back? especially a team that was predicted as low as they were last year. Yes, they surprised. Yes, they played well. They won a bunch of close games, and they did it on the back of Cam Scatterbo, who is, last I checked, not in Arizona State this coming year.
Yeah, I think we're really going to find out what Sam Levitt is. Is he who we thought he was last season without Cam Scatterbo? I think that's probably the biggest question there. Also, you've got a very young coach who, while he won the conference last season, does not have a track record at this point yet of putting together these back-to-back-to-back seasons or back-to-back seasons even, because he just simply hasn't been doing it long enough. So was he a flash in the pan? Or is he a guy who can build on that continuity? And I think we'll find out this season. But I'm with you. I think it's going to be terribly difficult for any of these teams at this point in time, unless somebody finally separates themselves from the pack, to repeat championships.
There's also a major difference this year. They're not sneaking up on anybody.
No.
Like, they were picked 16th last year.
Right.
Nobody had them circled. So, yeah, they were good. I like their team. I had them fourth, I think, because I just think they had some magic in close games last year, and that is really hard to replicate. That's really hard year over year to be a team that makes things happen late in games over and over again. I think they're going to be good. I think there's going to be a little regression. I don't get the the instance. We're not talking about Ohio State or Alabama or Georgia that they won it last year. You pencil them in back at the top spot this year. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I just don't. It's a team that jumped up and had a surprise awesome season. I think they can be good again. I think they're going to be good again. Are they going to be the best team in the conference? I don't know. I don't think so.
Like I said, tough to win back to back, I think, in this conference with so many teams a coin flip away.
Here's something that's interesting, Aaron. Here's the bottom. Let's go the bottom 6 teams, okay? Because it seems like in this league, one of these teams is going to make a big jump.
Yeah.
Colorado 10, Houston 11, Cincinnati 12, Oklahoma State 13, West Virginia 14, UCF 15, Arizona 16.
That's the final 7 teams.
7 teams, whatever. Which one of those teams do you think can surprise and make a jump up towards the top of the league?
Well, let's start right at number 10, considering you included 10. 10 is Colorado. That's all right. We'll start there. Deion has a track record at this point. We talked about Arizona State not having a track record of doing this. Deion has a track record of putting together really good seasons. I'll be surprised for him to have a fall off of this magnitude. Granted, it is his first season without Shedeur. However, I can't imagine that he allows himself to fall off this bad. He is, if that was going to be the case, he easily could have left for the NFL last year.
Yeah, I mean the interesting thing will be, what do they look like on offense? They brought in a transfer from Liberty. He rushed for over 2,000 yards at Liberty, 21 touchdowns. So if he wins the job, they might be more of a read option, run it, try to ball control, because I think they should be pretty good on defense. But they're not gonna have that passing attack and that ability to move the ball through the air. We've seen a bunch of teams in this league be really successful on the ground. The ones that couldn't complement it with the passing game have struggled. They're going to probably have to win a lot of close, low-scoring games.
All that said, the next team up is Houston. Houston led by Willie Fritz, and the same exact argument could be made for Willie Fritz. As far as, not the fact that he could have gone to the NFL, I don't believe that. But, again, this is a guy who wins literally anywhere he goes.
They were the second worst offense in the country last year. They failed to score more than 18 points 9 times.
He was
9 out of 12.
He was left with a mess from
Dana. I know. But did they do enough offensively to jump to the middle of the conference? They won some games bad last year.
They won some games they shouldn't have won last year as well.
That Kansas State win was massive in deciding the Big 12. Beating Kansas State. And then they played well against Utah. They were really good at the end of the year.
That's what you build a program on.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, we've talked plenty about Cincinnati being able to make that jump. We are very high here on you need to get to 7 wins. I have talked about them being 8 to 10 even, as far as I think that is this team's ceiling. That doesn't mean they're necessarily going to win that. But Oklahoma State, again, we're talking about a coach in Mike Gundy who rarely puts back-to-back terrible seasons together, if he has ever. West Virginia, you're dealing with the first iteration of Rich Rod. UCF, you're dealing with the first iteration of Scott Frost. Those are both teams that are in horrible rebuild modes. And Arizona, I think they've stopped caring about football at this point. They've invested all of their money into basketball.
I disagree. Like, they had things rolling 2 years ago, and then their coach leaves, and things kind of fell apart. I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't terrible. I had them 15th, not 16th.
Last season, I thought they were going to be better than what they were because they had arguably one of the best wide receivers in the country playing there. We saw him put up ridiculous video game numbers on more than one occasion last season, but there was no continuity to it. There was no they couldn't ever put it all together. When we go through our predictions every week and we do that show, I was super high on Arizona all season, and I never gave up on them, and that burned me on my picks badly.
The rest of the poll, Kansas State was number 2, Texas Tech and Baylor tied for number 3. That's an interesting one on Baylor for a team that struggled early last year, got it together at the end of the year, had some momentum. People think they're going to maintain that momentum and be near the top of the league. Dave Aranda was close to getting fired.
Yeah, we talked about it. We talked several times last season. We talked about Dave Aranda being on the hottest of seats in the conference, and we didn't think he was going to make it through the season.
Iowa State at 5, Utah at 6, TCU at 7. They're also a team that was much better at the end of last season. I don't know though, man. Like, they came here and they didn't impress me. I didn't think they looked great in that game here.
No,
I don't. And we don't love Sonny Dykes.
And
then BYU at 9. Without Jake Retzlaff and the way that has gone down, they got to find a quarterback to emerge with a month before camp. 9 might be generous from BYU, but I said this during the BBP, Aaron. The only thing you have to consider with BYU when you do something like this is, man, they are really, really tough at home. You could be their quarterback, and they're going to be tough to beat in that place.
Can they pluck one of the Carpenters or like somebody who's out on a mission and have him come back to just bring him in and be that? I joke, I kid, but I mean, it's a difficult situation to lose your quarterback this close to the season. You missed the spring portal. Terrible situation for both the quarterback and for the school. However, you knew what the rules were of the school going into when you signed up to play for BYU, and unfortunately, them's the rule.
Yeah. Chase Roberts and LJ Martin are the guys that are going to battle it out to lead the Houston Cougars offense, or the BYU Cougars offense. Did too many Cougars. There's too many Cougars in this league. I've got Kansas State and Iowa State playing for the Big 12 championship. I want more Farmageddon. I want all the Farmageddon I can get, Aaron.
Texas Tech is interesting. They're very interesting. They spent a lot of money.
They've never backed it up.
I know. They've spent a
lot of money. I watched that
defense
last year. They're going to have to be a hell of a lot better on defense to not drop a couple games, even if their offense is great. And Taj Brooks is gone.
Touche. I don't like Avery Johnson. That's well documented on this show.
Weird for a guy that's got his hair super long and,
I know. I don't know. Something about his face.
Something about his face.
and Arizona State, I like you said, it's very difficult to repeat in this league, and I don't have Arizona State there as far as the polls go. Iowa State, that's Matt Campbell.
Yeah,
he's good.
He's been good, but he's never really gotten over the hump.
Nope. I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting season. I think that we'll see. I'm with you, though. I think that one or two teams from that bottom 7 is going to emerge as top 4 teams.
Yeah, I don't know that I see any of them that'll be in the championship game, but I think it'll be more like 2 years ago when West Virginia was picked last and they managed to play their way up.
Top 4,
and
top
delay
5,
the inevitable. Yeah, delay the inevitable dismissal of Dana. Or not Dana, but Dana. Yeah. Seems like that was forever ago, doesn't it?
It does. Well, it seems like he was at Houston forever.
Yeah, that too. But I don't know. Who was there before Rich Rod? Who did they just fire? The air raid guy.
Yeah, I can't.
Crap. I can't think of his name.
I can't either. What are we doing?
Oh, well, whatever. That's the nightcap. We'll be back tomorrow night to react to Big 12 Media Days. Brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!